Thank you all for tuning into another edition of Outside the Shop. With me, your host, Daryl D. Lane, as always, where I get to talk about everything that I normally don't get the chance to talk about on my regular sports podcast, Barbershop Sports Talk, which you guys can all find on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasting, your podcasts from. Thank you, everybody who's tuning in via Twitter/Periscope, Facebook Live, and YouTube live stream. I appreciate it. Have not done a show in a couple days. Sorry for that. I'm actually planning a little bit of a trip to North Carolina, so I'm going to see if I can get a little outside the shop going on Thursday. It'll be Thursday because tomorrow's time. I'm losing track of the days. But the next couple of days, we'll try to get a outside the shop and get a live for all you guys. So we're going to make this short and sweet today. Also, by the way, check out the podcast that I released today. Top 20 quarterbacks in the NFL for the 2021 NFL season. Me and my guy, Ben Karen, host of the Sports Carver podcast. We brought down the info, brought down the knowledge right there. So if you want to see if your team's quarterback made our top 20s, check out the podcast. Like I said, you can all find all that good stuff on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, all that. So first, here's what we have. Aaron Rodgers, and if you guys have been living under a rock, you know that Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, they're in a tumultuous situation right now. And I think what's really interesting when we talk about this, you see Aaron, right? He's making fun of the Packers GM. He's calling him Jerry Krause, which if you guys haven't seen The Last Dance with Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, they called him Crumbs Krause, they called him fat, they made fun of him, they really bullied him. And treated him like crap. And now you're kind of seeing that Aaron Rodgers is making fun of him and comparing the GM to that in private text messages. You also see things that now he wants the GM fired, and his name is Brian Gutekunst, and he wants him fired. And I think this is interesting. First of all, I do want to say this. Aaron Rodgers is an ass. He's an asshole. Now, first of all, he's great. In my opinion, he's the second best quarterback in the NFL. He's phenomenal. He might be an ass, but he's still really freaking good at his job. But he's an ass. I think that's one thing we can say. And by the way, Kobe Bryant, earlier in his career, early 2000 Lakers, Kobe Bryant was an asshole. It's just what it was. Michael Jordan, kind of a jerk. Like, I think sometimes to be great, you have to be a little bit off, a little bit of a jerk, somewhat. But I think that's something that Aaron obviously is. Not an easy person to deal with, prickly personality. And you've seen, like, you know, when he gets crossed, right? He doesn't talk to his family. Like, it kind of tells you the dude is a little different. The dude's a little different. He rolls a little different up here. In terms of him getting the GM fired, I think this is a dangerous territory. I don't know if players, especially 37-year-old quarterback, as great as Aaron Rodgers is, should have that type of power to just unilaterally say, hey, that coach GM, he's gone. I don't like that idea. Especially a guy that they've been 13-3 the last couple of years and have been in the NFC Championship game. Just because he doesn't like that individual, to me, I don't know if I roll with that. I think in the NFL, I don't think it wants to be like the NBA in terms of how star players have this much power. And I think with Aaron Rodgers only having about 4 to 5 years left in the NFL, I don't think you can do that. Brett Favre makes a statement that he doesn't think Aaron Rodgers will come to camp if they don't resolve these issues. Brett would know Aaron better than most. They played with each other for a long time. They were in that quarterback room in Green Bay. And he says, knowing Aaron, I think I know him fairly well. If he has a grudge, whether it be against the organization or a player or an arch rival or a family member or friends, he ain't budging. That's what Brett Favre said. If Aaron has a grudge, it's over. Aaron has a grudge, it's over. Once you lose Aaron, it's done. And you got to do something extreme, which is why I think this is going to get very, very interesting. There's a chance Aaron cannot come to camp. And here's what I'll say. Aaron could retire right now. Aaron could be so spiteful that he could be like, I'm into my career. I'm a Hall of Famer. I'm a Super Bowl champion. I'm an MVP, regular season MVP. I'm a Super Bowl MVP. I don't need you guys. F the Packers. He could do that. So I think this is going to get really interesting. I think we're going to see a lot of stuff because here's the thing with Green Bay. There's only one of these Aaron Rodgers, right? The only guy, in my opinion, in the league right now that's comparable to him is Russell Wilson. And the only guy who's better than him right now is Patrick freaking Mahomes. Those are only two names. Those are only two men in the league. Maybe you could do an Aaron Rodgers for Russell Wilson trade. I've heard that. Maybe Aaron Rodgers for Deshaun Watson, both quarterbacks who are going through their own issues. And next up, Patrick Mahomes. He questions the NFL's CBA over Juwan James with the Denver Broncos contract after he's injured. So, apparently, this is what happened to Juwan James, who's a tackle for the Broncos. He was working out on his own and tore his Achilles. And when you work out on your own away from the facility, the team does not have to insure you. And what this does is, the reason this is in the CBA is it's to promote players to go into to always be in the facility. So if you get hurt, right, training, and you should be training with us, because if you get hurt training with us, your contract's going to be insured. If you train without us, without our permission, without us knowing, then, we're kind of going to we can be dicks about it. We don't have to kind of, insure your contract. And Patrick Mahomes said it's crazy. He said it's wild that he can be working away from the facility. What I do want to say to Patrick Mahomes is this. These GMs, these owners, these coaches, they want you at the facility. They want you at the facility. And I know players like to do things on their own, but I think that's what you have to kind of keep in touch. And if you're going to be out off the facility, I don't know if he necessarily told the Broncos organization that he was going to be working out away from the facility and they expect him to be there. I think that's all the stuff you have to watch and monitor. You need to realize, like, if you're going to do that, you need to have those kind of grown folk conversations and say, hey, I'm going to be working out for the facility. I'm going to be working away from the facility. I have my own trainer. This is our program. This is what we're doing. Like, that's kind of what you have to know. So then it's like, okay, we know what he was doing. When it's just like you decide to go off willy-nilly outside the facility and you're doing all this training and then you tear your Achilles and you call and you're like, oh, but I still want to insure. So I think there's going to be some news about that as things trickle on throughout the week. And lastly, Adam Schefter reports that people in league circles believe Deshaun Watson will not play in 2020. I've been saying this for a long time. Deshaun, sit your butt down, watch, have a good time. Watch guys like Tyrod Taylor and Stephen Mills play for the Houston Texans. I think that's what it's looking at. And you want to know what? Time is now. Trade Deshaun Watson. Trade him. He's not going to play for this year. He said he wasn't going to play this year, so it kind of worked out where it's like the Houston Texans, you're not going to get Deshaun no matter what. And if he still gets put on the commissioner's exempt list, then I believe the Texans still have to pay him. So the Deshaun could win in a way where he doesn't have to go be around the Texans, and they're still going to pay him money. Whereas he would have to hold out, and they could start, and he would have to forfeit game checks. But you're looking at a couple quarterbacks in the league that are going through troubles right now. Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. Maybe you come up to one of those teams and say, hey, we want to trade a quarterback for a quarterback? Maybe you do that. But I think it is looking more apparent as time goes by that Deshaun Watson will not play this upcoming NFL season. And that's all we have for this edition of Outside the Shop. Thank you guys for listening.